He had a remarkable sense of occasion, making hundreds in his first and last Test match innings and 2 centuries in his first Test as captain. He was a commanding and cultured player. Aloof, elegant and complex, Greg Chappell is one of ESPN's legends of cricket.
That's a nice strike. You look for 3 here, and it gives him his 100, his first 100 in England.
In the second Test of the 1972 Ashes series at Lord's, Greg Chappell played perhaps his finest innings.
Lord's in 72 was probably my best Test innings. Physically and mentally, I think it was as well as I played at any stage during my Test career.
It's a fine shot, and he needn't run for that.
The thing that I reflect on over that innings was I didn't make a mental mistake until the ball I got out. I don't think I concentrated as well as that very often in my Test career. So given the conditions, given the state of the game, I rate that as my best Test innings.
Enormous crowd, all on their feet.
When he came out, there was a very English thing to do, but there was a standing ovation, and the whole ground stood up and applauded as he walked out. And you don't see that so much these days in quite that degree. It was a stunning innings, absolutely stunning.
That knock that we're talking about is probably, close to one of his finest. He was just a young man, so very committed, very focused. It probably confirmed his status as one of the greats of the future game.
People like Railingworth and John Snow, who bowled to that 131, said it was absolutely masterly, and he really was elegance personified.
Chappell gets out of that one, and it's 4 runs.
By the mid-70s, Greg Chappell was arguably the finest batsman in the world, and certainly the most elegant.
He always carried himself so well, always the adjectives were always flowing as far as Greg Chappell was, because he just looked a terrific player.
He was the best batter in my time, and that encompasses a lot of blokes. Meandad, Barry Richards, Clive Lloyd, Yusra Amul in Canai. Greg Chappell was an absolute machine. And the hardest thing I ever found was when I looked at his average 50-odd, 52 at a guess Test, and Bradman was twice as good as him. That was very hard to understand, because I just thought he was a freak.
Short, hooked away in the air.
He covered drove and straight drove, hit the ball through mid-wicket. Anything that was straight went through that area. I think that his real trait was the fact that he never really got bogged down. Very often with players of his class, they tend to become infatuated with making big scores. Greg Chappell never gave me that impression at all. He was an unselfish cricketer.
Greg Chappell was always an artist. He was never, you could never classify him as a scorer of bowling, but he clinically destroyed bowlers.
Greg Chappell was very much the stylist as a batsman, very upright. In fact, if you look at any of the coaching manuals, you could probably draw a template over Greg Chappell and work from that. Eyes, wrists, bat, feet, all in a straight line. And he used to build his innings on the Greg Chappell V.
Cairns. Driving it down very straight on the offside.
Greg Chappell was a very difficult batsman to bowl to. I first came across him as a very young man, my first tour to Australia. And because Greg Chappell pretty much played in the V, straight up and down as much as he possibly could, and perhaps later on he would expand the play, cut shots and pull shots. He didn't take too many risks, and he was a batsman that had an excellent technique, especially for those hard Australian pitches. He was a tall guy, very relaxed, very upright, and he just played straight down the pitch and made it very difficult for bowlers.
Chappell. They're playing across this one, a loud appeal, and Morrison is out.
With the ball, he was a useful change bowler who was capable of surprising top-order batsmen.
Bowled, clean bowled by Greg Chappell.
And in the slips, Chappell was one of the finest in the game.
Oh, that's a good one. It was going very fast indeed.
Not too many better fielders, whether catching in slips or as an outfielder. Can't remember him making too many errors in the field, so Yeah, you've got a complete cricketer there.
It's in the air, what a catch! Taken by Chappell, that gives him the record number of catches, 100